And we are live, we are recording, and people are streaming in from all across the globe. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, welcome in. We're happy to see all of you here. I see many familiar names in the attendee list and many unfamiliar names in the attendee list. Brief housekeeping for everybody who's filing in. This is the OroCommerce 6.0 release public demonstration. If you are expecting something else, you're in the wrong place. My name is Aaron. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at OroCommerce. I'm joined by Itai Braverman, who is our Global Director of Solutions Engineering. He will be the one doing 98% of the talking. Lucky for you. This webinar is recorded and will be distributed on the Oro website for future perusal. We have an excellent series of blog posts up as well with screenshots going into some detail. You're welcome to go read those. There are parts of the functionality that we go a little bit deeper on in the blog post. And we will also be releasing more deep dives into specific modules of Oro over the next few months as topics suggest themselves. We are not making this particularly interactive this morning. So if you've got questions, I will share my contact information at the conclusion of the webinar. Feel free if you have questions about the functionality, if you have feature requests, and I'm sure somebody here, at least one person, will have a feature request if I'm lucky. You can send that to me directly after the webinar, but I think we'll give it 2 more minutes on a Tuesday morning for Itai. Itai, it's very early for you. What time is it?
It's 7 a.m., so middle of the day, so we're good.
Yeah, very early. I would not be as functional. It's 8 a.m. Or 9 a.m. for me, so not so bad. We'll give it, we've got 75 people. That's quite a few, a lot of people want to hear about Oro, Itai. I think.
That's good news. That's good news.
That's good. I like to see it. I see a lot of names from all over the globe here. This is good stuff. We'll give it 1 more minute and then I will turn my camera off. I will pass control of the webinar over to you, Itai, and you can get going. We're at 76. Give it a few more seconds and see if that number ticks up a little bit more. I feel like an auctioneer waiting for a higher number, 77. See, there we go. I'm rewarded for my patience. I think that's probably good enough for us to get started. So once again, for those of you who just joined in, I'm Aaron. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Oro. This is Itai above me on the Zoom screen. I don't know where he is on your Zoom screen. He's our Global Director of Solutions Engineering. He will be the talent today. I am just the MC. And once again, this is recorded. It will be distributed. If you have questions about the functionality, please reach out to me directly after the webinar. I will be happy to answer them or not answer them. If I don't have an answer, I'll make something up that's very convincing if you need a really convincing answer. And we're up over the 80 mark, so I think that's good enough. So Itai, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Let me know when you can see my screen. Aaron, I will need you for 1 more time just to let me know that the screen is actually showing.
I see a PowerPoint slide that says OroCommerce version 6.0 LTS.
Okay, I guess that's the right one. So
I think so.
Once again, good morning, good evening, everyone. Obviously, we're going to be showing today OroCommerce version 6.0. For those who know me, I usually like to show the functionalities through a demo and a live native demo, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. But obviously, I will need the support of some slides just to give some more background on what we released this time, what are we going to be eventually releasing in the future roadmap. So I will be sort of switching between the slide deck that you're seeing right now to obviously the live environment. And just to summarize, the main key elements that I'm going to be presenting today, and that's going to be obviously the most anticipated, the new Storefront theme, which I'll explain about today, the product kits, which we showed some portion of it in the 5.1 LTS, but now obviously we completed the entire functionality, not only for customers who are creating orders, but also for sales reps. I'll speak about that in a minute. A few improvements to the price list management. Once again, designed mostly for CSRs or any sort of manager who is in charge of setting up prices, not in the ERP. I explained about that. More functionalities around search management. And once again, you're going to see it from the slide. I sort of summarizes all the features that we currently have for search and recommendation, but also the new functionalities that we added. AI, obviously, you know, we are in 2024. Without AI, it's impossible to show anything. So I will show today, I think, I'll mention 2 or 3 AI functionalities, but also speak about the future roadmap, because I do think that the more we advance, we'll see more and more AI features making it to the product. Marketplace, for those who are new with Oro. So with the OroCommerce platform, obviously you get the marketplace, the B2B marketplace, and the CRM fully integrated. So we also add some improvement in the marketplace. As I mentioned, also some functionalities around the CRM. I would not spend too much time on this today. I will maybe show 1 or 2 functionalities or mention that, just because, once again, usually for these 2 items, we have a separate public demo. But once again, because it's part of one big product, it's worth mentioning and showing it today. And obviously, the technology update that comes with every sort of LTS, in this case, as you saw, we upgraded from version 5 to 6, and usually we're correlated to the Symfony framework version, which obviously is version 6 is the one we're using. So if we have time, we'll speak about the technology. So the new Storefront theme, once again, for me, it's amazing news, because that's the first time we're actually releasing a new theme. And the 3 sort of main drives was obviously a more refreshing look and feel, obviously built in a more efficient way for performance. But I think the thing that I'm going to be showing you today is the ability to configure almost every element, if not all of the elements of the front end. And I think these are the main 3 things that sort of drive us to bring a new and refresh sort of theme to OroCommerce. So what I will be doing right now, I'm actually going to be switching to a live environment. And here, as you can see here, I'm usually showing this Acme Supply store. So think about Acme Supply as a merchant, as a distributor that sells different electrical products, if it's lighting, security cameras, water heaters, and so on. And the first thing that you see in front of you is obviously one of the new content blocks that comes with our new Storefront theme. And as I mentioned, the biggest thing is not only the fact that we have a new theme and a new layout, and if it's for the product listing pages, if it's for the product description pages, is the fact that we are now giving the flexibility to actually configure every single element. Now, for those who are familiar with OroCommerce, and for those who are not, one of the biggest functionalities of Oro is the ability to spin out multiple websites. And I think this feature is great, because now, not only that we can spin out multiple websites, we can actually, maybe I should zoom in, we can actually now set up an entire different homepage for each one of the websites. So here, for example, you see that I have my Acme Supply B2B website. And this Acme Supply is what you saw here. This is sort of my main global B2B that features all the different brands, all the different products, categories, and so on. But in this case, you can actually see here that I spinned out a B2C site for one of my brands. So one common use case for the multi-website will be we want to have a branded website for each one of my brands, maybe for different product segment. And in this case, I actually made it to be a B2C site. So this is a feature that we always had. I set it up as a B2C. Now, what you'll see, once again, looking at the sort of old use case, when you spin out a new website in Oro, you sort of get the same sort of look and feel, the same front end. And now if you wanted to sort of introduce a new theme, you had to build a custom theme. What are we going to do today? We're actually going to be changing this A.O. Smith brand front page directly from the UI. So you'll see the different thing that we can actually do here. So the first thing I'm going to be showing you is the fact that now when I'm configuring the website, it will actually allow me to select what we call, and that's a new functionality, a theme configuration sort of or pre-configured element for that specific website. In this case, it's the A.O. Smith B2C site, which we're actually managing in a separate location. And once again, that's the new portion of Oro. You can have as many theme configuration as you want. And once again, the idea behind this feature is that when we have customers who have multiple storefronts, and once again, the common use case will be a storefront for each one of the brand that we sell or represent, it makes more sense to actually set up things through a configuration that you can reuse or you can create as a unique configuration. And that's exactly what I did here. So just to show you in a quick example, I can actually specify and mention that for this B2C site configuration, I want to have the standalone menu. So just for comparison, in our new version, as you can see here, we sort of combining the mobile and the sort of desktop version together. So by default, we're having like the hamburger menu here for the mobile responsive. So in this case, I want to bypass that. Plus, I want to tell the system that I want to always have in the toolbar some elements. So I'm actually setting it up from that specific B2C configuration. And to make it more interesting, I'm actually going to be taking a landing page, because that's the beauty about the new sort of functionality, that we can now take each one of the landing page and make it our new homepage. So I'm going to be taking here this empty homepage sort of that I wanted and prepared for that new B2C site. And I'm actually going to be using here some of my tools to start building something here on the fly. So I'm actually building the homepage through the visual builder. And that's for the first time a feature that we can actually now do, because once again, back in the days, some elements that were fixed. And to make it interesting, what I'm going to be doing, I'm actually going to be using two different type of content widget. The first one will be a slider that I prepared, and another dynamic widget, which is going to be, in this case, let's say the featured products. And the reason I cannot change them, because they are dynamic, they're being controlled from a different area. And in this case, in the case of the product segment, I created a product segment for all the products that are marked as featured. But I still want to use some sort of my own elements, or build my own elements when it comes to the middle row here. So I can actually, in this case, use the predefined templates. And the nice thing that you can build templates, and the moment you're building a template, you can now reuse it. And in this case, I'm actually going to be pushing here a 4-tile section to the categories. And just to make it interesting, I'm just going to be taking this element, duplicating it. So in other words, I'm actually making here, and I'm just drag and dropping, sort of imitating me creating a category. So I actually used, in this case, once again, a template for a single category. Obviously, right now, I can now go to each one and change it. But because of time, I'm actually just going to be saving it. So I created a new homepage layout. And the last thing that is left for me to do is to go to the web catalog and actually tell the system that now, when it comes to my catalog, and I can have multiple, but in this case, I'm going to be using one, I'm going to create a new landing page. And this landing page is going to be available, or going to be set as the home page for my B2C website. So here I'm selecting the landing page. I'm make it as part of my A.O. Smith B2C site. And if I will save it, what you're going to see now as a result, my B2B site looks the same. If I'll go and now refresh my B2C website, now I have the sort of the new menu that I added. I have the categories that I added. I have the featured product. So every single element here, I was able to configure. So once again, this is for those who are planning to spin out multiple sites. Now they have the full flexibility to control every element from the top menu to each section within the actual content that is needed in the front page. Okay, so that was quickly about the theme. One more interesting thing here. So obviously we kept the mobile responsiveness. So everything is mobile responsive, the checkout flows, and obviously all the different views. And more important, for those that are currently on 5.0 and above, we made this sort of backwards compatibility for any previous version. So if you want to upgrade to version 6, we can still reuse your old sort of layout without any issues. Okay, so that was quickly about our theme. And yeah, maybe I will show some other elements when I'll speak about the product kits. Product kits, if you remember last year, we showed some basic functionality for kits, but now we completed it and really giving you the ability to create any type of kits. And by saying any type, the common 3 that I'm bumping into when I have calls with customers are using kits for configuration. So let's say I want to build something, and throughout the process, I'm configuring different elements, and I'm actually going to be building this with you on the fly. The second thing is when we want to bundle things together. So I can sell items separately, but if you'll buy them in one bundle, sort of group, then you'll maybe get a discount. And obviously the concept of upsell, cross-sell, that if I'm already building a kit and my kit, let's say, comes with a certain configuration, you can upgrade, or you can maybe add some other elements that are not really part of it, but sort of another tool for you to push in and add to the entire order. Okay, so once again, as I mentioned, I like to show you how we can actually build this and how we can use it. So what we're going to do, we're going to do now 3 things. One, we're going to build together a kit from scratch from some of the predefined product that we have here. We're going to be ordering this kit, meaning interacting with this kit as a customer user from the storefront, but also, and I think that's the most interesting thing, we can interact with this kit also from the side of the sales team. Remember, in Oro, we have the CRM fully integrated, so we are expecting the sales team also to interact from the same platform. So let's actually do this, okay? So as I mentioned, we'll start by first building a kit. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm showing you the back office for a second. I preloaded some different products, or I would say product options. So I want to build with you together now a security camera system, right? Security camera system will usually come with different type of cameras that I can choose from. In this case, a storage to store everything that I record. And then if it's, let's say, a wired camera system, I maybe want to add some accessories, like in this case, the Ethernet network cable. So I'm going to be creating a product, and then in the second screen here, I will select that this is going to be an actual product kit. And by doing this, when I'll go to the second screen, now I will have all the different options that a kit will have. So in this case, the SKU, I'm going to make a security camera, and that's going to be some security camera generic. And I'm going to make it enabled and featured a new arrival. I can create description. I'll speak about the content generation using AI later on. But in this case, I'm going to keep it simple. Just the same title of the product going to be my both short and long description. I actually preloaded an image to my digital asset manager, so I will use this as well for my featured image. But now we actually starting to build the kit. So as I mentioned, because we're talking about a security camera system, the main thing that I want to be selecting is the camera setup. And in this case, it's going to be a set, okay? So when I'm actually created the cameras, I set it up to be in a set of 2. So I'm going to be adding some products. In this case, let's search for the word camera. And here are some of my options. So I'm going to be selecting, in this case, we can actually bring all the cameras and actually add them here. So in the first sort of option, or in other words, I'm telling the sort of system what I want the customers to be able to select from in their very first option to configure that specific security camera system. Now, because we are talking about cameras here, I can say that that specific camera system that I created can only support, let's say, 8 cameras. So I can actually limit to how much they can order. And because they're coming of a set of 2, as you can see here, I'm going to be limit them to no more than 4, meaning maximum 8. And in this case, they must select at least 1 set. So I'm not making it optional, okay? So minimum should be 1, maximum 4, and it's not optional, meaning they must select at least 1 camera from the option that I'm showing right now. Let's add another option to configuration here. And in this case, it's going to be my storage. And once again, in this case, I'm making it optional. Sometimes they might want to maybe buy their own hard drive. And I'm going to be limiting it to 1 just because my system can only support 1 hard drive at a time. So in this case, once again, I'm going to make it quick. I'm going to bring my Western Digital hard drive. So my 10 terabytes. And in this case, let's also bring, in this case, the 12 terabyte. And lastly, a third option to my kits is going to be any sort of accessories. And in this case, it's going to be also optional. And here, in this case, I'm actually selling these in meters, okay, because I'm selling a camera cable. So you're going to see in a minute how it looks like, just to make sure that storage actually made it as each. Yeah, perfect. So when it comes to the accessories, I'm selling Ethernet cables. I'm going to be selling them in meters. And once again, I have no sort of threshold for the minimum quantity or maximum quantity. So let's just add the different cables. So let's find, let's say, the 5E version and the category 8 version. And now I have the 3 options. So here I'm deliberately showing you where I'm making it a required field. In this case, I'm making it optional versus limiting to 1. And in this case, doing combination of both, limiting the quantity, but also making it required field. When it comes to the pricing, the way that the kits works is that we will now summarize together all the different items that were added. Each one can have a tier pricing, each one can have unique pricing. But then eventually I can also set up a base price for the security system. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So the base price for this security system will be, if you buy one, it's going to be, let's say, I would say 1900 for the base camera. So you're going to see how the result will look like, where it's going to be starting from this, and then everything that I'm adding, it will be eventually as the final price. So let me save and close it. Let me make sure that I enabled everything. Let me also add a brand here, just a fake brand that I have, and save it. So now when this product is alive, I'll go back to the storefront and refresh the screen. It should be the first thing that I see here. Here's my security camera, generic, starting from 900. And if I will try and add it to my shopping list, it will allow me to select from all the options that we did together. Option number one, the set of cameras, I must select one of the options. In this case, let's say the 4K wired. In the second one, I'm going to say that I'm going to be adding a 10 terabyte hard drive. And in this case, because it's wired, I'm going to be adding, in this case, a 50 meter of Cat5 Ethernet cable. So now you see my total is the base product price plus everything that I just added. And then I can add it to my shopping list. Now, this is where you can bring discounts. You can say, oh, if you're buying this as one big kit, we can discount the base price. We can do some combination if you're buying two discounted. So you can always add additional sort of promotional prices on top of the tier pricing that every customer sees here. Now let's do something interesting. I'm going to go back, and in this case, I'm going to be buying it again. This time, once again, it's going to be 4K wired. It's going to be my 10 terabyte hard drive. In this case, if I'm not mistaken, I added a Cat5 cable, but in this case, I'm going to be adding only 40 meters. So here in the shopping list, I'm now going to have two different, let's keep it like this. I have two different kits that I just configured, and the reason that they are separated in the shopping list because one includes 50 meters versus the other that includes 40 meters. But besides that, everything, is the same. So if I will edit this kit, the second one, and when I'll change it to 50, the system is smart enough to sort of mix it into the same kit that we had before. I'm just buying two. So we set it up that it's very organized, that when I'm eventually submitting an order, we know exactly what is, each one of the unique configuration that is available. Okay, so that was quickly me. I'm configuring it as a customer. What I'm going to be doing now, I'm actually going to be creating it as an order. So let's remove some of the headers here to make sure that I'm only ordering a kit, and you're going to see in a minute why I'm doing it. And let's also update it to only one quantity. So now I'm going to start the process of checking out. And as you can see, once again, the new theme, we changed it a bit where the different elements are here. So shipping information, shipping method, payment. And once I'm done, I'm going to be submitting the order. And we submitted order 130, which I can obviously, as a customer, see the information here. What is interesting is now what the sales rep can do from the back office. So first of all, I can actually now see the order. And here I'm a sales rep, acting as a sales rep in the back office. I can edit the order if we actually allowing orders to be managed by sales before maybe we're syncing them to the ERP. And as you can see, the same tools apply here. So maybe something is not available. Maybe I'm calling the customer and explaining to them that maybe it's worth for them to upgrade to the Cat8 cable. So all the functionalities that I showed you in the store are now available for the sales reps in the back office when they are creating an orders, or in this case, when they want to just initiate a quote or receiving a request for quote and want to send back a quote. So the way that it works from the back office, if I'm selecting one of my customers and I'm selecting this security camera system that we just did, then I have the option to start building it similar to how I build it in the storefront. But me, as a sales rep, I might have more functionalities of maybe adding things that are not visible in the storefront, or maybe adding some more limitation and so on, just because obviously I'm building it from the back office. Okay, so now going back to the kits are available both for a customer in the storefront and also for a sales rep in the back office as part of editing order, creating orders on behalf of a customer, responding to a request for quote, and so on. Okay, so that was quickly about the product kits. Once again, just to revisit that, usually being used as we did today for configuration of a product, in this case, a security system, but also bundling items together. If you buy them all three, you're getting a certain discount, or maybe if you want to attach a certain part to the right product, that's another way to sort of bundle the right items together. And then obviously upsell, cross-sell. This is what I showed you. Oh, if you're already ordering a 10 terabyte hard drive, upgrade to the 18, you might get a discount, and so on. Okay, so that was the product kits. Moving to the next in the list, that's going to be the price management. So I will show quickly two elements here. So, and I think many who are actually using Oro, I would say customers of ours using Oro and have their entire sales team interacting with the system. I think the biggest thing that we now added is the price calculation details. And I'll explain for those who are new to Oro. Obviously, Oro is a B2B first platform. So when a customer takes a look on a product, for example, here, this light bulb, we can have different tier pricing shown, depends on who the customer is, and obviously how much are they ordering. So in this case, if I'll order, let's say, more than, let's say, 50, I'm automatically triggering that sort of second tier that you see here. Now, the interesting thing here is that every customer being a company, can have a different pricing to the tier that they are part of or the tier that they're ordering. Depends on also the unit of quantity that they're ordering. If they're buying a pallet, they might have a different price and so on. So eventually we created a tool that really helps the seller in the back office understand, based on the enable strategy, what is the price that is calculated and why, based on what price list. And here you're seeing that I selected my company A customer. So I'm actually seeing what is the prices that is being associated with them, compared to maybe me now going to let's say anonymous user. And in this case, let me do this. Let me just, I think anonymous users should actually see the same pricing, but let me see if they can actually see it. Let me just do price list assignment. And yeah, so in this case, I guess they have the same pricing for anonymous users, but if I had a different pricing, I would definitely not be able to see this. So let me also do price calculation again, and let me see if I think I have a retail price enabled. Let me just do a guest here and see it. No, yeah, so I guess they have the same pricing for the guest. I thought I actually set up something unique for guest user. I guess I disabled that. So the idea, once again, I'm seeing how prices are being calculated to each one of the customers directly here from the back office. Now, speaking about creating price lists, for the more technical people in the team, as you know, for those use cases when we do not need to sync flat price directly from the ERP, or in other words, customers who are using Oro as part of their sort of price list engine, we sort of improved the price list calculation engine. So in this case, for example, here, you're seeing that I'm creating some condition to sort of create calculation for delta of the product. So meaning I can dynamically assign a product. And in this case, I create some configuration. So in other words, I told the system, let's find all the products MSRP value. And in this case, we can say multiple this by 1.2. In other words, add 20% margin to the original price. So we added this sort of tool set that if you want to do very robust calculation, you can do it as well in Oro. Once again, for those customers who are not using, let's say, in this case, their ERP for the price calculation. So now you have, I would say, almost every possible math option for you to create dynamic pricing within the Oro system. Okay, so that was price management. Looking at the time, we're good. Going back to our slide, the next thing that I want to be speaking about is search and recommendation. What you see in these two boxes in front of you right now, these are all the features that we released up to this moment. The reason I decided to show it, just so we'll show you that through the time, we added more and more and more functionalities. On the left, things related to the search, and we're using Elasticsearch in the background. And on the right, things that related to different tools of creating relationship between products or product recommendation. So I'll start with the search. The two main items that we added is going to be search term suggestion in the search input. But what I'm going to be showing you is the actual search term management tools that I really like. So if you remember, last year, we actually showed the search term history. And the search term history, and let me go back and show it to you, is the ability for me to capture everything that somebody searched. For example, if I'll go to the storefront and I will search for the word Aaron, I doubt I will find any result yet. So I could not find any result for the word Aaron. Now, the search part of the search history is that it will actually tell me that somebody searched the error, and in this case, actually, no, there's company A, specifically Amanda call from company A, and they got an empty result in their search result. So what we added right now is the ability to actually create a unique result to that specific term. So I can now change it and say, well, now I'm going to create a specific result when somebody searched for error, and it could be for any other additional keywords. I can actually personalize this result to depends on who the customer is, what website they're coming from, locale, and also customer segment or customer group. I'm going to keep it general to everybody. And here I'm actually going to be telling the system that if somebody searched for Aaron, go to our catalog node and show them one of the web categories that I set. It could be any other type of content. In this case, I'm going to keep it simple. Just take the web catalog and show the lighting product. So if I will save it, and now I will refresh the screen. Now, if somebody search for Aaron, they seeing the lighting product results. So this is a great way to sort of add an addition, or I would say a follow-up item to that previous feature that we created around the search term history, that now that we can, manage terms. And looking in the future, and I don't know if the product team will like what I'm going to be saying, I think we can obviously combine it together using AI. But the main thing here is that, now we're not only capturing the search term, we're actually defining what they will see and how they're going to be seeing it. So that was from the search side. Once again, everything is powered by the Elasticsearch. On the right side, I want to speak about the different way that we can now relate products together, right? A different type of recommendation and so on. And the last thing we released last time, if you remember, was different type of recommendation. When you see in parentheses ML, this is sort of machine learning, meaning Oro actually has the engine using different type of math, which I'll show you in a second, to calculate different results or how results are being displayed. And then obviously, the idea is to eventually introduce AI to do this as well. So I will show the two additional items. So if you remember in the previous result, release, we added another type of sort of related product result. In this case, if I'll click on the work light, you will see that there is a block here for similar products. This block is being generated automatically using machine learning. So the way that it works, let me show it to you. I can actually go to the similar section. And here we have this similar product where I can say, use the category name to boost the result. If it's coming from the same parent, boost it, but not like it's similar to how it is in the same sort of category. If the name equals to another name of other product, as you can see, I can bypass and add different weights to different type of sort of configuration that will decide what is a similar product and what is not. Another thing that we did before, just to show it to you, we did something very similar when it comes to customer recommendation to boost things, for example, based on their actions, what they visited, what they added to the shopping list. And once again, here, the user will have the control to say how much we're giving a view, what is the weight and ratio that we're giving to the view versus what is the weight that we're giving to somebody who added something to the shopping list. So I'm just showing you what was released last time, because now we actually have the same engine, in this case, in a different, where's my related? Here it is, in a different section, and that's going to be in my shopping list, okay? And that's a big thing, because you're going to see what happened here. If I will go to a shopping list, and let me add some things to my shopping list. So let's create a new shopping list. Let's call this one the shopping list LTS demo. And I'm going to be adding some items from the generic demo data. So I'm going to be adding 100 of this item and 100 of this item to my shopping list. Now, if I'll go to my shopping list, you will see that automatically the similar product block, which it's a new functionality, is going to be calculated based on the product that I have in my shopping list. So if I'll go back to the storefront, and this time I will add some lightings to the shopping list, and let me do this, and let's also add this light and these lights. So now if I'll go to the shopping list, and I will actually get rid of, let's say, these two clocks that I added before, what should happen with the similar product, that they will be adjusted to what is currently dynamically stayed in the shopping list. So obviously now I don't see any clothing product. I'm only seeing similar products from the lighting category. So the interesting thing here is that not only that we have the control of setting up what is the sort of portions and weight for different elements to make it to the similar blocks, it's dynamically being updated based on the product that is in the shopping list. So that's going to be the similar products, which leads me to, I think, I would say the most interesting thing when it comes to recommendation, and this is going to be using the Google Retail AI engine to generate the different blocks. So in this case, I will have to show it to you through a slide, because obviously there is the training period. But the way that it works is that now we can use an amazing tool that Google provides us to generate tailored, I would say, blocks for homepages, search results, shopping lists, checkout. And the nice thing that we can base it based on all the information that we are feeding Google, which it could be, what are the product catalog that we have? What is the customer doing? Any action of the customer? And then within the Google layout, we can start setting up, what is the strategy we're actually going to be using? And then, the result will be the prediction API. That's sort of the magic of Google eventually taking this configuration, taking all the data that we fed it with to eventually come up with what they recommend to that specific customer from that segment who visit different areas on the page. And it could be things from, other items that you specifically may like to frequently bought together, to things like, for example, buy it again, more focusing on the sort of revenue versus, focusing on just another click-through rate and so on. So we are utilizing all the features that Google provide us as part of their recommendation AI, but obviously taking into consideration all the actions that they did within the OroCommerce. Okay, so once again, this is something that you can enable as an extension. The reason we're not giving it natively just because not all the customers need that. Now the feature obviously is free, but obviously you will have to take into consideration that every prediction that Google will do has some cost related to it, and there's the different sort of formulas to calculate how much that a certain sort of effort can end up being. But the main thing is, once again, you don't need to use it all. You can start with maybe some sections, some recommendation to sub-customer segment, see how it goes, maybe extend that, or maybe reuse it elsewhere in the storefront. So this is a great feature. So that was the recommendation AI. And if we're already talking about AI, so AI is not only being used to recommend products, as you can see here, but AI can be used everywhere that we are generating content. And generating content could be in multiple locations. Location number one, obviously, when we are managing product data. Okay, and here I'm saying product data, but it could be any type of place where I'm generating a content. So it could be, for example, me creating a landing page, and maybe I want the help using the visual builder. I want to use the help of AI to help me build something. So think about you building something in ChatGPT, but now I can actually use it here and have different unique techniques that are more relevant to things that we're doing inside Oro. So going back to me editing product description, I can take the security camera that we built together, and I can actually tell the AI, in this case, I'm using OpenAI, but you can use, both engines, Vertex AI, OpenAI, if, I'm assuming you can extend to any other sort of model out there. But in this case, what I can do, I can say, instead of me using this generic title, I actually want to clear this and bring my own title, and in this case, or my own sort of long description, and I can actually tell the system how I want to do it. So in this case, I'll use the default configuration of generate product description with any custom prompt, and use a formal sort of tone for the text. And in this case, you see, I just created it thanks to, the OpenAI integration, and I'm actually adding it to the content. So I used, in this case, just prompt. It could be a combination of prompt and product sort of attributes to generate the text. But the interesting thing is that now that I have a long description, I can actually generate a short description using the long description. So I can say, populate a short description based on the long description, just because it's a very common example, right? Usually when I'm doing demos and preparing product data, I'm usually taking elements from the long description into the short description. So these are things that we added, once again, using OpenAI, sort of in this case API, to generate the end result, but different type of techniques that we introduced. So now I actually created a short description, a long description, and now I'm good to go to save it. And now it's obviously going to be published in the website. Okay, so just an idea of the ability to create content. Now, as I mentioned, every place that we created the content, it's not only landing page and product description, But remember, for those sales rep who using Oro to not only sort of create orders and quotes, but actually do an entire communication with the customer. So as I mentioned multiple times before, the CRM is fully integrated. By saying CRM, when I'm working with a customer as a sales from the back office, I can capture any point of communication, every activity that happened with the customer, from notes, events, and so on, obviously to this option of actually sending the customer an email, right? For those who are using Oro and have Outlook 365, you know that we're going to be doing the entire sync automatically. And in this case, I'm creating an email from the Oro layout. And once again, I can use the same prompt to say, and actually prepare here something. I'll write a formal email welcoming that customer to the new, B2B e-commerce store. So we are using, once again, ChatGPT in this case, or OpenAI, I would say, to generate the result. And now we can actually save it as a template, and we can reuse this template as well. So the idea that every place in order that I'm actually creating some text or creating a content, we can use, in this case, my OpenAI integration to generate the text automatically. Okay, so that was me creating an email to a customer. Obviously, we can automate this process if it's part of some, email segmentation or marketing campaign and so on, which is also obviously part of the CRM as well. Okay, so looking at the time, we're good. I'm going to the next in my list, and that's going to be a few improvements and features that we added to the marketplace. So in this case, as you remember, one of the main things that we added last time was the ability not only to group and split the line items per seller, but we allowed sellers in 5.1 to actually specify unique shipping options based on the line item. So now we actually updated that to have them not only have the ability to have a shipping rate per line item, we added the option for a certain seller to have multiple shipping options. So in other words, what you can see here in the screenshot, and this is coming from a live marketplace environment, is that we are splitting the different sellers, the marketplace operator being one of the sellers. But in this case, High Tech Pharma, which is one of the sellers here, has two different options for that specific buyer, a flat rate and a fixed product shipping cost. And you can obviously have, let's say, your own UPS or FedEx Credential or any other 3PL. But now I can select it in a group versus selecting it on a line item. And this is technically sort of the Amazon style, where it depends on the seller, or depending on where it's being fulfilled and by who, we can group it and then also provide different option if that seller provides a different option. Same applies to the promotion. You can see here on the bottom right. Now sellers can actually set up their own promotion. And in this case, the promotion is being deducted from the sort of subtotal of the discount. But we are taking this into consideration when we are actually calculating the commission, which leads me to the third improvement that we did, is now having more sort of control on the commission system of not only, if you remember in the marketplace, you can have different commission levels based on transaction, based on category, but now you can decide what you are including or excluding from the commission. And when you have promotion by sellers, this is where you start to think about, when do I going to take my payout, with or after or before promotion is being added. So these are all three items that we added. And once again, I'm leaving it as a screenshot because we're going to be doing a public marketplace demo soon. So you'll see all these features in action. So next in my screen is going to be some of the third-party integration that we introduced. It used to be a session. Now it's obviously native for everybody who's using it. So as you know, in Oro, we have a native functionality. And maybe let me show it to you from the live environment. We have a native functionality to actually allow customers, B2B customers from the storefront, instead of going through the checkout process, to start the process of negotiating a quote, meaning I maybe want different item, or I just want to negotiate my price. So in this case, I'm starting the process of requesting a quote, and I can specify what is my target price for every item that I'm adding. Natively, the way that it works in Oro, the request makes it as a request for quote entity to the back office, and then each one of the sales rep in charge will have the option to respond to this request quote with a quote. Now, we have many customers who already have a CRM in place, and in this case, I'm going to be specifically talking about Salesforce. So the idea here that we don't want to sort of overwrite or remove or sort of bypass or duplicate the CPQ efforts, or I would say the quoting of an opportunity workflow that happens in Salesforce. So in this case, we're actually working together by integrating to Salesforce, taking the Oro flows and combining it with the Salesforce flow. So the way that it works, what you're seeing in this slide, is the entities that are native connected to Salesforce actually syncs from price books, product, accounts, contacts, orders, and opportunities. But I think more interesting to see here is the flows. So in what happened if I'm enabling my Salesforce connector, and I have obviously a working instance of Salesforce, then the request for quote that I just submitted makes it as a new opportunity within Salesforce. So the idea that obviously if a customer asks for a request for quote, that's an opportunity because now we're going to be sending them back a quote or multiple counter offers. So before generating a quote, we know that in Salesforce, a quote is being generated as part of an opportunity. So we are automatically creating an opportunity in Salesforce. Now, if the sales rep decides to take this opportunity and actually start qualifying it and moving it to the different steps, one of the native steps of Salesforce opportunity workflow is to generate a quote. And once they are generating a quote, these quotes automatically being created in Oro, because once again, the idea is that once a quote is created, we want the customer to eventually interact with this quote and eventually also create an order. So once the quote is created as part of the Salesforce opportunity and the customer start the checkout process that I showed you before, then the order eventually, when it's being submitted, moves back into the Salesforce. So here I'm showing you the native flow, but remember OroCommerce with a sort of open source fashion, you can change and extend the workflow to sort of any way that you want it to be. And once again, as a reminder for everybody, every process that happens in workflow in Oro is built on our workflow engine. So you actually have the control to set up, what are going to be steps that a certain flow might have, what are going to be the condition to move between steps, what are going to be the actions that happen. So in this case, if we need to extend some things in Oro, and I'll give you a good example that usually we see where when the quote makes it from Salesforce into Oro, maybe a seller needs to approve it, maybe a sales manager needs to approve it, or maybe something needs to happen before it actually makes it into an order. These are things that you can do and extend as part of the native sort of workflow engine. Okay, so the Salesforce Oro connector is now fully natively available for any enterprise customer. Once again, the idea here that you don't need to step out of Salesforce or any other CRM if you already have a full CPQ process in place, and that's exactly the point. Quickly about another interesting tool. This is for our customers that are using Google Workspace or Microsoft 365. If you remember back in the days, we have a full sort of integration with 365 when it comes to syncing emails and some other elements. And the idea was that if you are sort of inside Oro browsing different locations, similar to how I showed you a customer user, if we already have some email communication, for example, we're seeing it in Oro. So what we did with these two add-ins is that it's the other way around. If you're already inside your sort of 365 space or your Google Workspace and you're looking at a prospect, then we are automatically, and you're seeing here the Oro connector, we're bringing as a sidebar all the relevant context to what you are now seeing or communicating with. So here you're seeing this example of I'm sending an email to Amanda. So I have multiple things that are relevant to Amanda as the context. First of all, the customer user information, but maybe previous orders that she did. So the idea is that I don't need to log in to another screen. I don't need to switch to another screen. Directly from my sort of email system, I'm immediately getting context that might help me come up with the message that I'm going to do or any other decision that I'm making. So once again, staying in the workspace of Google and Microsoft 365, but getting information from Oro injected into the process. So these are two add-ons available for those who are using out of 365 and Google. And lastly, to speak about the future roadmap, and once again, you're going to see here elements from different segments, just because, as I mentioned, the nice thing about the platform is that you're getting everything in one single platform. You can decide what items you want to enable, if to enable some CRM, maybe not to enable CRM, using some marketplace function, maybe not. So we are making sure that on every release, we are adding elements to each one of the different segments and functionalities of Oro. So we're going to be extending the shipping integration to UPS and FedEx new APIs. Address validation is something that I know been requested by many of our customers. Address validation happens when I'm not only checking out, but when I'm managing my entire sort of global store as a global manager. So just to show an example here, On the call, obviously, part of being a B2B customer, I'm managing my entire user, my entire database, including my entire address book from the customer portal. So adding address validation to those different areas is something that, once again, will be added. Headless front end. So this is where you hear things like headless, composable, and so on. So the idea here is that we starting seeing a lot of use cases where we have customers who need some type of apps available to their sales reps. So the idea here is not only a more, I would say, oriented app for the sales rep to create orders, but also in case, let's say, I'm in an offline environment and so on. So the idea here is that I can actually now use a PWA app to actually do that, which also include the concept of headless for Storefront Theme for those who still want to use headless and sort of not utilize the new theme or any one of the theme here and maybe use a third-party CMS or any other system. We're going to be providing more tools for that as well. So that's going to be part of the future roadmap as well. Invoicing, that's an interesting one because invoicing used to be a native entity that we removed because obviously the concept is that invoices will be generated by an ERP, but we're starting to see this as a sort of returning pattern, especially for our customers who are using marketplaces. And the idea is that now you can technically generate invoice in Oro. So you are going to have an invoice management, invoice payment, but also the concept of creating recurring orders in case you have this concept of my weekly order, my monthly order, and so on. Quickly, just once again, looking at the time here, we're going to be, and I should have mentioned that we already upgraded a lot of things on API. We added a lot of new entities that are now available through API, but we're also going to be supporting new API technologies as part of eventually having more, going back to the composability, more items that you can do through an API, through sort of third-party integration and really change and update things inside Oro. And then going back to AI, we're going to be adding more and more AI tools. And here you're seeing easy data access. The idea here is that we're going to be using prompting to access data if it's part of reports or even just basic things. Find all the customers who ordered a certain brand in the last week and getting them in the result. So really using the power of AI to accessing data versus using native queries like our reporting engine and segmentation engine that we have. For developers, obviously a lot of tools that are already available, but we're going to make them more formal as part of making the process of integrating or just building code easy. I know that we're working on something to make the process of generating workflows better using the power of AI. So tools for developers as well. And lastly, when it comes to the marketplace, something that I'm anticipating to see is the buyer-seller interaction. As you know, buyer and seller collaboration already exists, but now we're making it more sort of in the process of buyer who has some question from a seller and maybe eventually get this concept of getting a bid for multiple sellers. So we're going to be having this entire sort of buyer-seller collaboration tools, both for question and answer, but also for bidding and so on. Grouped products is the idea of me selling the same item that somebody else is selling, which is native in the marketplace. But here we're actually going to be grouping it to a single UI. So here we can actually have, let's say, the marketplace operator in charge of the content versus each one of the sellers managing their own content and images. So we're going to be doing a group product functionality and eventually boosted sellers. By saying boosted sellers, the idea is that we are going to be adding another type of you can call it a business process of not only using commission, but using, in this case, advertisement or subscription that based on the subscription of a seller, we will be promoting and boosting the product. So another sort of type of business model that our marketplace is going to be supporting. So I'm going to be finishing here. As you can see, there's a lot of features in many different segments. I wanted just to give you a flavor of some of the things that we released. The full list obviously is going to be published in our website. But that's it from my side. So Aaron, maybe any last words from your side?
Yes, absolutely. That was fantastic. There were a handful of questions that came in via the chat. I've answered the ones that I could answer while we were speaking, but I would encourage anyone who has additional questions to shoot me an email. We can get more in-depth answers to you. My email address is asheehan@oroinc.com. In fact, I will share my screen because I have it on a slide and then you can see it. All right. website, and now you can see it. There it is. That's my email address. You can't click it because this is a webinar, but you can type it into your email client and send me an email, and then I will work with the product team to get you answers. Thank you all very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Itai, for spending the very early part of your morning doing this. This was fun. Watch this channel for more. There will be more deep dive videos, explainer videos, more webinars about the product. Oro is an amazing product. It has a lot of capabilities, and we look forward to talking about it even more to all of you and to all of your friends. So thank you. Have a great day or a great evening, and we look forward to speaking with you again. Thanks so much.